Hey guys, welcome to the ultimate in-depth Obby Mauler Pure Guide. In this video we'll be covering a variety of factors that will mostly cover the making of an Obby Mauler account. We'll be covering what an Obby Mauler is and why you should create such an account, what build you should choose, how to build an Obby, and shortly how and what Pking on an Obby is like. So what is an Obby Mauler? An Obby Mauler is an account built specially to have very high KO potential on a rather low level account. A maxed Obby Mauler can be between 54 to 62 combat level, with a max hit ranging between 42 to 48. Obby Maulers utilize the damage boost from Berserker Necklace and using the Obsidian Maul to hit absolutely insane amounts of damage. Next up, we're going to talk about gear and weapons. For starters, Obby Maulers want to train with an RPG up until 74 strength, where they can begin using the Slayer staff with 55 Slayer and 50 magic. But we'll talk about that later. It's important to note that some of the items an Obby must strive for can be extremely difficult to obtain. This could be the Fire Cape or the Berserker Ring imbued. But here's a list of pieces of gear that an Obby should strive to obtain, and we'll go in depth with some of them. So the Fire Cape and Berserker Ring imbued can be quite difficult to obtain on your own. Many players simply aren't capable of doing so, however there are special services available for that, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. These items require a lot of training beforehand and will take a decent amount of learning to acquire. You'll have to dig down into tick eating and tick dancing. With that said, it's completely viable to have a good Pking account without the need of these damage boosting items. For this next part, we're going to take a look at the different kinds of Obby Mauler builds. First of all, here's a few information you'll need to know as an Obby. You'll always want to be melee based, which means that your combat level is solely dependent on your melee stats. Therefore, you do not want to get high ranged or magic level. This can easily be calculated with this following formula. Next up, we're going to talk about prayer levels. Level 1 prayer is to keep low combat level in PvP. Level 13 prayer is for superhuman strength, which gives a 10% strength boost. Level 31 prayer is for ultimate strength, which gives a 15% strength boost. And finally, level 43 prayer is for the protection prayers, however this will increase your combat level quite a bit. For lower level Pking, 13's prayer is recommended as it doesn't give too many combat levels. At 31 prayer is recommended for higher Obbies, that is 90 plus strength, and 43 prayer isn't really recommended unless you want to do more Slayer after 55. Now for the different account builds. An Obby Mauler can be built off of the same orientation. The main thing is high strength, and then the build can be different. A Mauler can have 1 attack, 5 attack, 10 attack, 16 attack, and even 20 attack. It's also important to remember that a Mauler can have defense. They can have 1 defense, they can have 10 defense for black armor, they can have 13 defense for Slayer helmet, and they can even have 20 defense for initiate and mithril armor. The combinations are endless, however the best proven builds are 1 attack and 16 attack with no defense at all. Then the prayer level can be combined into this. Now it's time to talk about training spots. From level 1 to 40 I'd be training on monks in Edgebill. They heal themselves and they hit close to nothing. From level 40 and onward you have quite a few different methods. You can go to Sand Crabs, which have 60 HP, or you can go to Ammonite Crabs on Fossil Island, which have 100 HP. The requirements for going to Ammonite Crabs are quite a bit higher, but that's just something that you'll have to deal with. There's a lot of spots available for these training places, however it might get quite crowded during peak times, as a lot of pures use this, as well as main accounts. but you just have to hop worlds until you find a free spot. From 1 to 60 I'd be using the RPG as a main training weapon, and from level 60 and above until you hit 74 strength I'd be using an Obby Mauler with the Amulet of Torture or Amulet of Fury. You might think that a Berserker necklace is better for training, but in fact it's not better experience per hour. The accuracy that the Torture and Fury gives are much better, so use that instead. When you reach 74 strength, the first thing you want to do is go for the Slayer Staff in the Unholy Book, because you're really going to get a huge spike in experience per hour, so go for that. So this is how the optimal gear setup should be when training. You want the Bear Head, if you can, the Fire Cape, the Amulet of Torture, the Slayer Staff, the Varrock Armor 1, the Unholy Book, some D'hide Chaps, preferably the highest range level that you have type. In my case that's Red D'hide, and for most obbies it will be Red D'hide when maxed. The Regen Bracelet, any type of boots, as those don't really give any bonuses. You can wear iron boots to get a little bit more defense, but that doesn't really matter. And the Tyrannical Ring for training is what I prefer. You can use the Berserker Ring imbued if you want to. I'm not quite sure about the XP rates, but I always have used the Tyrannical Ring. So let's talk about Slayer. The Slayer Staff is the most important obby training weapon, and it really is worth grinding it. There's two ways you can achieve the 55 Slayer requirement. You could do one, the old-fashioned way. First off, you do the Varrock Museum for 9 Slayer. There's tons of guides out there and it's pretty easy. Then you do the Dwarf mini quest and recipe for Disaster, which you'll have to do anyway for Mithril Gloves, and you'll get 13 Slayer. Next you'll train 13 Slayer to 30, because at 30 you'll be able to get experience land from diaries and from quest rewards. Then you'll complete all the easy diaries, and then you'll complete one small favor, which gives 20,000 experience in a skill of your choice above level 30, which you'll put in Slayer. And then you'll train the rest till 55 Slayer using Vanica, who has a 40 combat requirement. Then there's the Numer method, where you do the Varrock Museum again for 9 Slayer, you do the Dwarf mini quest for 13 Slayer as well, you train your Slayer manually to 30, then you complete all the possible easy diaries and the one small favor once again, but here's where it gets different. Then you go to Fossil Island and you start chopping Siliciacep, however that's pronounced, trees on Fossil Island for fossils to gain XP lamps, which you'll use on Slayer, and it will grant you 55 Slayer at some point. The latter one is absolutely the quickest, and it will gain you no HP XP whatsoever. I myself have never done this method as it has become available after my training was over 1.5 years ago, but there's a ton of guides out there for gaining fossils with this particular method. So in this last part we're going to talk about Pking, which is essentially the most important part of the guide, I guess, because this is what most of you will be using it for. On this picture the only thing that you will have to look at is the Fire Cape, the Amulet of Torture, the Slayer Staff, the Unholy Book, the Mithril Gloves, the Ring of Recoil, the Berserker Necklace, the Obsidian Maul, the Berserker Ring, and the Bone Dagger, poisoned. The Bone Dagger is not necessary for Pking, however it gives a good bonus as it can, with almost 100% accuracy, poison your target, which will give a damage boost. In this following clip that will be playing in just a second, I will be commentating over what I'm doing, just a short fight, and show you a bit about what I do and how I do things. So for this clip we can see me using the Bone Dagger immediately and switching quite rapidly. So you want to use your your Slayer Staff to bash them down to low HP, and then use your RPG to tick walk as I do. And when you can see that they're reaching under the HP that you can hit, then you go for the KO and kill them. It's pretty simple actually. So that'll cover it for this time. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Additional information will be in the description of music and who helped me create this guide. Also, please leave feedback, as this is one of my first videos I've created on this channel, and I really want to know what you guys thought of it. And if you feel like it, subscribe and like the video. For me, it's just a bonus. Thanks a lot for watching.